Hey everybody, today we're going to be covering a PvP tune-up. This video's intention is to give you a place to start looking at your account and kind of have a place to begin growing from. Before everybody shoots me in the comments, I just want to let you know this is not necessarily the best thing for every single person's account, but this is a great starting point for 99.9% of the accounts. So with that, we'll jump right into it. So the first thing you have to do is decide which of the three forces you want to be. Army, Navy, Air. You need to have a main. Unless you're a mega whale who can afford all three and maxing absolutely everything and you can keep everything at the same levels, which is even for most of the whales isn't possible, you have to choose one. So you have Army, which puts all the damage onto one tile. You have Navy, which shoots across a row of tiles, and what I mean by row is side to side, and it splits your damage into three. Or you have an Air Force, which does that same thing, but to a column of tiles, and it splits it into three. So all the units base level do the same damage. It's just for Air Force and Navy, it's spread out between three. With tanks or Army, it's one specific target. So that's your first step. Once you just solve that, you need to come into your heroes and decide which heroes are going to be the best for you. I'm not going to go into depth of which heroes are the best here because that could be an hour-long video in itself. Generally speaking, the three newest heroes are going to be the three best heroes for your force in the game. That's a general speaking thing, not necessarily always true, because I know Prime is better than a lot of the Army heroes. But anyways, so once you decide on your heroes, you're going to want to upgrade them to 5 stars, and you're going to want to perk them. So we're going to say we chose Army, so we chose Prime, and we want to perk him. For Army, the 4 perks you're looking for are Army HP, Army Attack, All Forces HP, All Forces Attack. For Air Force, it'd be the same thing, except for you'd have Air Force HP and Air Force Attack. For Navy, same thing, except for Navy HP, Navy Attack. You want to make sure you get the ones that are specific to your branch on all 3 of your heroes. So you'd have 12 total perks. All the perks would relate to your force. That's your next step. You also want to be working on your skills. So generally speaking, if you are combat elite, your best skills would be the exclusive skill. You would have both the rare march size and the non-rare march size, and then the damage increase and the damage decrease for the rare versions. If you're not combat elite and you're mechanical master, then you would get rid of the damage decrease and you would have the 2 march sizes and the damage increase. This is a point where I will say your skills may vary and things may change depending on your account, but generally speaking, this is what most people run. So once you get your skills, you'll want to make sure those skills are equipped to all of your heroes. Sorry, I didn't show you that. So for me, it's Optimus, Cromwell, and who's my third one? Ben right now. So you'll see that some of my heroes actually have attack on it because I recently used the non-rare marches and put them onto different heroes. So because Army is not my main, but that's besides the point. So once you've done that, the next thing you're going to do is make sure your components are set. The components that are generally accepted as the best are these 5 shown on screen here. You have high fire rate, weapon buff, armor buff, damage decrease taken, and damage increase. Now, what I'm going to say about this is for a lot of people, you don't need to level these up all 3 forces at once because yes, it'll help you do a little bit more damage, but in my opinion, having your main force set up to be maximum is going to give you a greater benefit than trying to do them evenly split across the board. So, my opinion, other people think you would keep them even, so you wouldn't get a high fire rate 10 until you had all 3 at 9. Personal opinion. The next thing you're going to want to do is work on your make sure you're working on your mastery. So you're going to want the mastery of your main force to be higher. In the first one, you upgrade. However, as you look into the mastery here, you will notice there are certain points where you get things like all unit HP bonus, all unit attack bonus, and then at level 10, there's all unit damage decrease taken. So don't just try to push your mastery just for your force all the way up. You actually want to do them in little chunks. So the first one is all of them to level 5, but what you do is you do your Navy to level 5 first, if you're a Navy main, and then you do your Army, then your Air Force, or whatever order you want to do them in. And then you do your Navy to level 10 next, and you do the other two to level 10. And then you do your Navy to level 15 next, and your other ones. Um, I'm actually going to go to level 17 because there's a March size +2 at 17, but that's my choice. So that's your next thing. Actually, while we were in there, I could have showed you equipment. That is another thing you're going to want to be working on. I'm going to click in the wrong place about 50 times. So your equipment, you're going to want to make sure you're always producing materials and merging them to whatever you need and building your equipment. So your goal is to make sure that your equipment, as you can see really small in the top left corner, you can also kind of see it right in this spot right here, will show you which of the forces that you're getting. Make sure your equipment matches your main branch. So you can come to here, you'll see I have purple on all my army. This is one thing where I will say by the time you get all purple on your main force, you'll probably be building purple for all your forces before you start doing gold, but that's one of those things where you have to decide what's best for your account. But generally speaking, get all purple, then work your way up. I will say with equipment, it is better to start with, if you're like army, it's better to take and get all the grays right away before you just try building straight to a purple, just because those small amounts do add up and it doesn't take a lot to build them, and you'll actually end up needing those and disassembling them to make the purples or the blues or the gold or orange, whatever color you want to call it. All right. So another thing you're going to need to be working on is your suppression. Your suppression, you should try to level up your main force also all at once. So at a certain point, you do want to kind of catch your other forces up a little bit and try to keep them even. But I highly suggest everything for the general majority of people, just focus on your main force. So my main force is Navy. That's why my main force is suppression is almost maxed, which max is a 100. Another thing is your assault or your formations. So assault and fortified are the two choices. Very, very few opportunities to use the fortified, but generally speaking, you'll use the assault because the assault is what gives you only positive buffs. The fortified actually does have negative buffs, so you can see right on that number 2, I have a damage increase of negative 10%. So that means I do 10% less damage. You do get that back at later levels, but that's kind of something you have to consider when you're doing that, is if you choose to go with a fortified, you do lose that for quite some time. So that is that. And I want to apologize now. I know I'm going through a lot of this super fast, but this is just kind of a tune-up to show you kind of where your account should be. In the elements, you have the elements that you can choose to switch these all the time, or you can choose to switch them just once and use them both for PvP and PvE. So Air Force Explosion is the best one because it gives you damage increase. For Navy, the best one is going to be either the Explosion also or the Piercing. And then for Army, you would definitely want to have the Piercing. So I forget what they're all called all the time, but how I have it set up is just so I don't have to switch between elements when I'm going to hit things like World Boss and Sand Table, so they're all different, and I can use the buffs for that. As always, keep leveling these up. It's not a big buff that you get for them, but it does help. Every little bit helps. The next one you're going to want to do is you're going to want to find a skin that relates to your main force. So don't worry about the holding in stock bonus because that always applies. So something you're going to do is get as many skins as you can because those holding in stock bonuses do add up very quickly. It's something over 1600 attack and HP that they all add once put together, but there are a lot of bases to collect. What you're looking for is actually this top part here, and you want it to be related to your force or all units type thing. So you'll see this, for me, Tropic City is one of the best Navy bases that I have. So I have a plus 8% damage increase, all units 20% increase attack, and 20% increase HP. So damage increase definitely trumps attack in most cases, just so you guys can keep kind of a balance of what you're aiming for. But that's kind of where I'm looking when I'm looking at what skins to equip or not, is kind of that damage increase kind of makes a big difference in which base is good or bad in my opinion. The last part of PvP is to ready up. So what I mean by ready up is you're going to come into your items, and if you have them, equip all 3 of your paints. And the thing about paints is a lot of people don't realize this. If you use one and then you use another one, it pops up with this. The time does stack on this. So you could open all these and have them last for hours, or you can have them last for 30 minutes at a time. That's up to you. You can see right there, I now have an hour of attack buff. Same with these ones. You'd want to activate your paints so you have all your paints active. The next thing to do is to come in, and if you have Villiers, you're going to want to activate her passive skill. And each time you do that, it's 10 minutes. So you can see it's up to 50 minutes in a day. The last thing you're going to want to do is click on your base. And if you have any of your other buffs, activate those also. So we have the Arc buff, we have Arcadia buff, we have Aura of the Ocean, and we have the Dragon Breath. I think you can also do the Harsh Teleport buff, and I think there's one other buff too. I don't have all of them, but Harsh Teleport's the other one I can think of off the top of my head. I always suggest activating these things before battle because a lot of times once you get in the middle of battle, you tend to forget about them, unless you're somebody that's good with memory, in which case you can activate them after. The last thing you're going to want to do is get your march ready, and I'm going to call this super quick for the video, and send it out to attack. Now, when you're doing this, you want to make sure you're sending out the right things. So I'm just going to send to a Dark Force because we're a peaceful server, so I don't want to attack that. So you can set up your quick selects, and because I am a Navy main, here's my Navy army. So I have Mega, Bylos, U. They all have the skills, and my comp's already set up. I've activated all my buffs, my equipment, my formation. Make sure you select the right formation in here, which is the little button just to the left of the save formation. And then what you want to do is you want to set up your troops in the spots that give the best buffs. So right now with my assault formation, my front 6 tiles are where my best buffs are. So you can see my first tile is 180% attack, 10% damage, 180, 10, 180, 10, and then slots 4, 5, and 6 are only 180% unit attack. So my front 3 tiles are my best, so I always put my Valhallas there because that gives them the extra buff because they're already a stronger unit. If you're only level 80s, that doesn't matter. If you're only level 81s, doesn't matter. It's only when you have different tiers of troops that you want to start thinking about where to place them. And then the other thing to think about is if you have encirclement, you need to add in all the different types of troops. Depending on what type of situation you're in, if you're solely attacking, I highly suggest just adding in 1. So you're just sending out the damage increase part of the encirclement. But if you're also going to be defending, that's when I start to mix in my third one, my third different force. That way I get not only the attack boost, I get the damage reduction boost also. That's me. Again, this is all subject to your account, what works best for you. Something I suggest is choosing, just kind of setting your account up to a basic spot and then experiment from there. And when I say experiment, I don't just mean send this one march here and say, okay, yep, that one worked. That's my new thing. You have to experiment many, many times to actually understand if it's something that's going to work or not, because Top War is a very RNG based game. They want the random number generation to kind of make you feel like you have to choose all the different things. And you kind of have to do dozens and dozens of experiments with one thing just to kind of see what it actually is and how it actually helps or doesn't help you. So this video is just kind of to save you a lot of the testing of like which comps are the best, which skills are the best, which comps are highly thought of as the best, which skills are highly thought of as the best. And they aren't necessarily saying if you don't use this video isn't saying if you don't use these you're going to lose. What it's saying is here's a good starting point, experiment from here or try to work towards this so you have a place to experiment from. Because I know a lot of people will say, well, I don't have all level 5 damage increase, I only have 2 level 5 and 1 level 1. Well, that's the time where you can say, okay, is a level 1 damage increase better than a level 6 attack? So that's the type of things where you got to kind of experiment and see what's better and what works best for you. As always, though, if you guys have any questions about the video or you guys want to reach out to me on my Discord, you can reach out in the comments of the YouTube section here, wherever you guys want. I always try to reply as soon as I can, or I try to find the answer and then reply to you guys. So um, you can reach out there. If you enjoy this content, please leave a comment in this um, comment section of this video. I want to see if we can get this video some more views than normal and help kind of boost the channel so I can start showing you guys some more like the spending type stuff and kind of give you guys breakdowns on that. So um, I hope you all enjoy it and see ya.